All right, well, high noon. Welcome, everybody, and excited to have everyone here for the JDS. Oh, I'm sorry, I was getting some little sound in there. For the JDS Learning Lab answers to your laser engraving questions. We've got well over 400 people joining us today, so that's great. We're excited about that. We do want to thank everyone for taking the time. We're going to do our very best to make this really valuable for everyone, and we know everyone's busy and not everyone has a lot of time, but we do a lot of teaching around the country when we have our trade shows. But since we're not doing that, we're going to be doing it this way, and we've been having some fun. We did one of these about a month ago. So I want to welcome everyone and thank everyone for joining us. We still have some people joining. I see the numbers are clicking up, so we're going to take just a quick second, and we're going to do a poll question. So we're going to pop up this first poll question, and it is very important. What is your favorite Thanksgiving food? So if you would be so kind as to make a choice on what it is you're most looking forward to, that would be great. We'll take a look at those results here in a minute as people get through that. I can tell you mine is always the stuffing, but for me it's you got to find that piece of stuffing in the corner of the pan that's really dry, and then you got to put the gravy on top of that. So that's really what I look for. So yeah, we still got some people still signing in. We'll let some people finish up this poll question, and then we'll take a look at some of the results on that, just for a little fun way to start the day and give everyone a little bit of time to join us. Why don't we take a look at the results there and see how that came out. What is it? Oh, look at that. Stuffing came out first. I hope I didn't steer anyone that way, but just one of those things you don't get the rest of the year. It just kind of seems like you get around November, December. It's just that stuffing time of year. So anyway, thanks for doing that. We're going to do a couple of more polls as we go throughout the day, and we'll kind of pop those up and get you into those. So next thing we're going to do, one of the things I want to do is I want to share with you that a lot of people don't realize that JDS has a fabrication department here in our Sioux Falls office, and that group is run by a couple people, and their names are Dana and Sarah. And Dana and Sarah are joining us today on this webinar, so I'm going to ask them to just say a quick hello to everybody.
Everyone. Hi, good afternoon.
Hey, all right. There's Dana and Sarah. So they're going to be a big part of what we're going over today. And the fabrication department does a lot of different things, and they have really a very full setup in there. So they do mechanical engraving, laser engraving, sand carving, sublimation. We have direct UV printing in there, and we can also do CNC cutting. And the purpose of that department is pretty multifaceted. One of the things they do is they make products for our customers. And that's something that as a dealer you can take advantage of. If you don't have a certain technology, you can have us help you with that. They also test new products. When we're looking at new products, we hand them to Dana and Sarah and say, hey, go play with this and see if you can get it working and tell us how it works and all that kind of stuff. From there, they build our online specs. So every one of our products has starting laser settings, sublimation points, all that kind of stuff online. They do a lot of product troubleshooting. If somebody's having some difficulty with a product, they can run into the warehouse, they can grab one of that product and they can bring it in and try it and see if they can replicate what you're seeing on your end. We also help people build their business before they buy a piece of equipment. So let's say, for instance, you're thinking about adding a direct UV printer. And you think, well, geez, when I buy that thing and I set it in my shop, what am I going to put in there? Well, if you want to start building some UV print business, you can kind of partner with us. And then as you build some business over 3, 6, 9 months, then when you buy your piece of equipment, you know what you're going to put in it. It's all the stuff you used to send to us. So we help people build their businesses that way. And we help people take on larger projects. Let's say somebody wants, we're looking at the Polar Camel Water Bottle there. Let's say somebody comes in, they want 500 of them and they want them in a matter of a few weeks and you just don't physically have time. Keep as much of that work in your shop as you can, and then you could have our fab department do 100 or 200 or whatever, marry up what we made with what you made, and then you can hit your deadline. So we help people with that kind of stuff. And the last thing is Dana and Sarah help people with a lot of questions. And that was really the basis for what we're doing today, is kind of answering these questions. What do they get calls from our customers on, and what are people asking about, and what's kind of driving people crazy? You know, that's one of the things we talked about when we were building this webinar, is what drives our customers crazy. So we're going to try to take some of that away and provide some answers and some insight from Dana and Sarah on a number of these things. So let's take a look at our agenda for today. We're going to be going through several different things. The first 4 items you see on the agenda, we have videos for. So those are the best practices when lasering the Polar Camels, best practices when lasering the water bottles, best settings for Laserable Leatherette. I just saw a question on in the Q&A area about that, so we're going to be covering that in detail. How to get the best results using CerMark. CerMark is that black tape or spray or concentrate that you put on stainless steel, and that'll give you a black mark. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, that we get a lot of questions on. And then we're going to finish up with some tips for lasering crystal and glass. So we're going to sort of take a jump into a video, and then we'll watch that, and then we'll come back, and then we're going to start plowing through some questions and some answers and some things like that. We'll get through the questions and answers onto the next video. And we're just going to kind of be working through it like that today. I want to be sure everybody knows we're going to be sending everybody that registered for the seminar the entire recording of this. So you're going to see some specs go by, you're going to see some settings go by, and you're going to be able to go back and watch this again and again and share it with other people in your shop, and that'll be a great thing. So I want to know you're going to have those, plus all the questions. We're going to answer a lot of questions today, but we're also going to be getting a lot of questions that we're not going to be able to get to. We're going to take all of them and answer them all and provide those to everyone that registered as well. So every single question will be addressed in what we send to you. So we're going to do before we get started, we're going to do one more quick little poll on experience level. How would you describe your level of experience personalizing JDS products with a laser? Would you consider yourself kind of a beginner, just sort of getting into this kind of stuff? Have you had some experience with it, maybe 6 months or so? A lot of experience, been doing this for several years, pretty knowledgeable, or expert level. Nobody can throw you a curveball that you can't hit on this stuff. So if you could take that, and then this is going to help Dana and Sarah sort of temper their answers to the questions that we'll do live during the webinar, as well as the answers to the questions that we'll send out to everybody. So if everyone could just finish that up, it looks like we're stabilizing a little bit on the number of participants that we have in this. We have over 600 people joining us today, so really appreciate everyone taking some time and joining us. It should be a lot of fun and very educational for everybody today. So when we take a look at the results on the experience level, so some experience is our biggest category, and this is a nice group then. So we've got some people with some experience. A few people a little newer to this type of stuff, some people with a lot of experience. We have a nice mix, and this is really what we find when we do trade shows too. We have people of all different experience levels. I mean, I've had people walk up and ask me at a trade show, just tell me, I just bought a laser, I've never used one, what do I do with it? And I've had people come up and say, geez, I've been doing this for years and looking forward to working with your products. So let's go ahead and move on. So as I said, we're going to jump into some videos here. And the first one is best practices when lasering Polar Camels, very popular products. So again, we're going to watch this video, and then we're going to come back together, and then we're going to take some questions and answers. So here's the video.
We do have all of our settings online with all of our products as this. All of our Polar Camel lines, the settings are going to be the same compared to a 20 ounce, 30 ounce, the coffee mug, wine cups, all the coatings and all that are going to be the same. So you're going to have the same kind of power and speed. Always use just that same cup as your practice cup. I mean, you can fill a cup all the way around just trying to get on your settings. You know, you don't want to just be pulling more out of your case and burning through cups. In our fabrication, if we are doing custom things, we always like to have 10% extra of what the order is going to be, and that's just to account for machine error, for human error, for product error, anything like that. It's always good just to have a few and kind of just already know that one's going to be the test piece. All of our Polar Camels are going to have a residue directly out of the laser. It's not going to come out shiny and clean, so you will have to clean it. So we had slowed it down so we could break through the powder coat. So we got through it here, but it is going to leave that residue right out of the laser and not go to the shine. So we'll take this LA Awesome, kind of let it sit. Some stronger pigment colors like this, you may want to just kind of let it sit there a little bit. You do want a stronger degreaser such as this. Soap and water, alcohol, those kind of things aren't going to be strong enough to clean off this residue. So as we let the LA Awesome kind of sit and work it, then come back with a microfiber rag and we'll wipe it. Get that residue off, help it shine back up to kind of match our ring around the top here. Our Fab team down here also is available to talk direct kind of laser to laser settings. We run them every day and we're working with them, and we do all of our testing down here, so we have some input for you as well.
All right, great video from Sarah there. Thanks, Sarah, for doing that. And we had a lot of questions flying in, so that was awesome. Dana, Sarah, did you guys pick up a question or two that you could share with the audience?
Yeah, Dan. So we're seeing quite a few questions here when it comes to, possibly double-coated mugs. A question in specific is, are you able to go over it with a second pass? Usually, it's not recommended to do a second pass just because lasers normally don't line up, exactly. Sometimes you'll just have to deem it a bad cut, but what you can do in the future to try to see if there is possibly a double coated mug, the thickness of the coating should only be about the width of a piece of paper. So you can take your fingernail to it or even just line paper up. If it's seeming really thick, what we suggest to do is just slow your speed down. The cups, they'll still work just fine, but usually you're going to be burning these at a high power already. But just lower that speed and it should break through fine. It's always important to remember there is going to be residue on these, so they're not going to come out looking, shiny stainless steel right away. So it's really important to use that LA Awesome in a microfiber cloth. Some will use LA Awesome with magic eraser. It's just most important, just to make sure you're getting that good degreaser with the LA Awesome, eat away any of that residue. But the double coated mugs aren't bad. Don't just keep, going through more and more with the same settings. Just, adjust that speed some, and you should be a lot better off.
Right,
and
and kind of
I hear
along
that.
with that, so it's not going to be a whole case, say you order a whole case of one color and you may have that one bad one that is just really thick. You're going to have the rest of that case should be just fine after you kind of do some adjusting of your settings and slowing it down. Kind of one question I saw was asked about, having a large quantity of these to clean, because all of them will need cleaning out of the laser. Kind of one thing that we do when we have our mass product or mass orders coming through is we'll just have them stacked, and then we'll have it stacked on some foam or whatever, spray it and let it all kind of run down, and then come back with a cloth that's already kind of dampened with a little bit more LA Awesome and a quick wipe and lid and right back in the box. So it can kind of help with that workflow. After you just keep swapping them out of the laser, then you can kind of come back and clean them. It doesn't necessarily, there's no time limit that the residue needs to sit. I mean, it can sit overnight and you can still come back and clean it. And some of the colors, like I said in the video about the higher pigment or stronger pigments, sometimes it may take that, you do your initial LA Awesome and wipe it, and then even to go back again and just another quick spritz of it and then wipe, or even use that magic eraser can help and give it that shine.
And remember, with the LA Awesome, you don't have to dilute it. You can buy it just in the bottle as it comes and just spray it on and go. I've seen some questions in here about what the dilution rate is, but it's actually just ready to go as you get it.
Oh, so you guys just use it straight out of the bottle?
Yep.
All right, very good. Yeah, and I know from talking to people, they can start to develop a little bit of a feel, like you say, for when they have one that's got a little heavier coating on it, and then know that they're just going to slow that speed down a little bit on that laser to finish busting through there.
Right, yep. And it's going to be almost like a wet, gooey residue looking, where you can almost see the stainless steel shine to it. If it's like the dry, just a dry powder coated look, that means it didn't break through all the way. And unfortunately, yeah, you can't necessarily run that second pass and have it run exactly the same, especially on roller based rotaries. But when you see still that residue, it doesn't necessarily mean that it didn't break through. Just the extra elbow grease of cleaning could be all that it needs.
So hit them a little harder with that LA Awesome to see if that cup is salvageable for customer use. And I love the tip too, Sarah, about once you have a cup that didn't come out well, don't just set it aside. That's the one you keep practicing on. That's the one you dial in on. Don't keep grabbing fresh product all the time. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Fill that cup, max everything out that you can on there, for your test purposes.
A couple little housekeeping questions I saw go by. Somebody asked, how long is our time today going to last? We're going to try to be wrapped up within about an hour. So somebody said they had something going on at 4 o'clock. I don't plan on being here till 4, so just let people know. They also asked, will the videos come that they just watched? Yes, the videos will be part of what we send out to everybody. Do you guys have any more questions right there you wanted to address real quick?
I see there's a DPI, like for the Polar Camels. We keep it at the 600 for the most part. Anything higher than that can almost melt that powder coat back on when it's too high. You can run some lower, and it's going to cut back on your time. That can kind of depend on your laser though, specifically, if it's able to still break through that powder coat.
And then kind of, the opposite with that. If you're seeing where your cups almost get like burnt edges, you're either using too much power, or you can basically just bump that speed up, because you can, overburn these by going too slow and, hitting it with too much power. Then you're just going to get like a burnt looking around all your edges. And then it's going to take a lot more cleaning, and you can actually just speed up and get your production rolling faster as well. You
shouldn't be sweating cleaning these cups.
Yeah.
Let the LA Awesome do the job and then just wipe it.
And I know, Sarah, you and I did a little educational thing out in Vegas a while back, and you were talking about how some of the heavier colors, the reds and the blues and the blacks, may take a little bit, spray it on and let it chew for a little bit on that cup. And then some of the lighter color, the silvers and the whites, the grays and the whites, kind of don't take quite as long to let that activate.
Right, yep.
All right, anything else that you guys wanted to address here?
I think we hit a lot of the questions that were rolling in, but keep them coming, and we'll keep answering them throughout the day here.
Sounds good. And I did see one on like laser conversions for different speeds and stuff, but I think we're going to keep going through, because we kind of addressed that a little bit in some of the future videos that we're going to do here just in a little bit. So why don't we go ahead and let's move on to our next slide and our next, you know what? We're going to stop for a quick second, and we're going to do a poll. I got to remember my poll. We just want to be sure everyone's having a good experience here. And so we're going to ask this quick poll question: how are the audio levels? Are the people speaking in the videos at about the same volume when they come through for everybody? Are the people speaking significantly louder than the videos? Or the videos significantly louder than when the people, Dana and Sarah and I, are speaking? If you guys could give us just a quick feedback on that, we might be able to make a little bit of adjustment on our side. We just want to be sure everyone's getting a good experience here, and everyone's being able to hear what they have, and they don't have to wait for the video to come and get emailed out. So, all right. Very good. Appreciate that feedback, guys. Now what we're going to do is we're going to jump into our next video. It's the best practices for Polar Camel water bottles. So we just introduced the water bottles here recently, and Sarah has some real good tips on those. So let's go ahead and jump into that video. Then we'll be back for questions.
Hi, I'm Sarah here at JDS. I'm the fabrication supervisor. Here's our new 32-ounce Polar Camel water bottles. I'm going to show you just a quick lasering tutorial on it. These are going to show the logo right here, and these lids are always going to line up the same. So when putting it in your laser, you're going to want to mark if you want to put it on this front, or say the side or the back. Quick little thing we do is just put a little piece of tape kind of right where our center is going to be. That way we know where our logo is. We want to know kind of where your size is and where you're going to put it. It does have the removable straw. You're going to want to remove this when you go to laser it. So we're going to put it in our laser kind of opposite of what the normal is, because your clip isn't going to be able to hold it right here. So we'll place it in our laser here. Like I said, it's going to be the opposite, so we're facing this way. This is going to be our center. I'm using center engraving here, so I'm able to freely move, knowing that I'm right in the center where I want it, and then I can place it kind of the vertical where I want it centered. We want it level here in about a 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch in from this side. Then we will close it here and go. So when we're finished, we're going to want to clean it the same way we do with our other Polar Camels with our LA Awesome. So just a quick spray of the LA Awesome. And we'll wipe it clean. So when we put our lid back on and we go to tighten it, it's going to line right back up with this. Like I said, these lids are going to go back on the same way each time. Along with our bottles, these bottle boots come with our laserable silicone. They're removable. You can place them. It's easier to laser when they're on the bottle in the laser the same way. They come in the same colors of our silicone, and then our bottles come in all 17 colors of our normal Polar Camel lines. Hope you guys give them a try.
All right, another good video from Sarah. Thanks for doing that. And now, if you guys pop a couple questions out of everything that's coming in. We're doing really good. We've got lots of questions in there. Do you guys have one that you can start with quick?
Yep. So kind of with off that water bottle, we see some maybe have some slippage, or it's not rotating correctly. And this is based off of roller rotary compared to those tension-based ones where you have the cones. So with the water bottles, how I kind of showed in the video, where you want to have the wheels spaced apart enough that it's going to carry most of the weight of that water bottle. Removing that lid is going to help for it to distribute easier. We don't ever put anything in our cups to help them rotate. Making sure that, you know, every screw is tight in your rotary, because as they run a lot of cups, the screws do kind of seem to loosen themselves. So really making sure those are all tight, cleaning those wheels, just wiping them. We wipe them with LA Awesome to just kind of reassure that grip that's already on them can help with it. Another thing about stretching logos when sending to a rotary such as that, like if we can see here, this circle logo that I had here, it's a normal 3-inch circle, but on my computer screen, I stretched it from the left to right. So as it turned, that circle came back to be an actual circle of this Polar Camel logo. That's kind of a big thing, especially when it comes to circle logos, and having it still look visually pleasing as a circle.
And Sarah,
yeah.
Sarah, how do you know, you say you stretch that circle, but how do you know how much to stretch it?
Right, good question. It can depend specifically on your artwork. We usually range from like 6% to 10% wider. Things such as the wider circumference on these water bottles, you got to stretch it to about that 10%. And it's going to look distorted on your screen, but like I said, as it goes to your rotary and it's spinning, it's going to kind of correct itself. Some of the smaller ones, such as like the wine glasses, where it has a smaller circumference, you don't need to stretch it quite as much. But again, it can depend on your artwork. The same way when doing double-sided, which I see here, you know, lining those up so you can run the cup all at once and have two sides. That's kind of within setting up your artboard and spacing them out correctly based off your circumference of whatever, say the water bottle here. It's right around that 10.75. So spacing your artwork out evenly is going to be kind of the key to having them be front and back.
All right, very good. Dane, do you have any other questions over there?
Yeah, so a question we're seeing quite a bit on here is, you know, we do have, you know, certain wattage machines posted for settings, and what to do if you see one that, you know, we don't have. You know, so say for instance, you see, you know, a 60-watt laser setting bars and you have a 50-watt. You can really just base them off that 60-watt, and you're just going to have to slightly tweak, you know, a few percentages. You know, even say you had a 60-watt, yours and ours might not line up exactly just because of, you know, wear and tear, how new your laser tube is. You know, each brand is going to, you know, laser a little bit different anyway, but these are really good starting points to get you, you know, right in the ballpark. But I would suggest to everyone still, you know, tweak it to find what's going to be best for yours. But, you know, if you're within, you know, 5 to 10 watts of our settings already, you're going to have very minor adjustments to make. You know, and some are going to, you know, go from, you know, the millimeters.
Right. There's not going to be a direct mathematical conversion of, say, our percent to your millimeters per second, unfortunately. It's kind of taking your overall max speed that you have and we say 30 speed. That's going to be like 30% of our fastest speed we can go. And, you know, say you're new to lasering, you buy your laser. Each manufacturer usually has kind of their recommended settings. Those necessarily aren't going to be where,
exactly, on our products. So I'm not saying you can't use the manufacturer specs, but I would try to maybe lean towards, something, we have, because there's a pretty general, metal, leather, there's a pretty general, others are more kind of specific to our products. So just try to kind of stay in those, our ranges, if possible. So I've seen a lot of questions on here where they're saying, they're using the manufacturer settings, they're not turning out on our product. But like I said, those are pretty broad, they're just trying to cover a wide range of possible materials.
It could be a metal setting where Polar Camel, it's a stainless steel metal, but it's powder coated. It's not painted compared to, say, like a sheet metal for a plate or some of our keychains that are the different colors, but it's just a painted and not necessarily a powder coated. Where powder coated, you're going to need a lot more power and heat to break through than just a thin paint layer.
I know I was in a shop a few years ago, and the operator was showing me a Polar Camel that they had done. It was a teal one. And while they're engraving it, their laser tube died. And so it's kind of wild to kind of see it just sort of fritz out, and half the logo was there, and then it kind of started kind of pixelating, and then it kind of just died. And so they get the new laser tube in from their manufacturer, pop the same Polar Camel back in, again on the other side, not to ruin one, same settings, and hit it, and they cooked it. They could not believe, same wattage and everything. They just say, you just don't think about the fact that, once your tube is a year old, 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, it's kind of like the light bulb in the refrigerator. The light bulb in the refrigerator goes out, you pop in the new light bulb, you're like, holy moly, is that thing bright? So you're right, there's so many variables. There's mirrors, there's alignments, and there's cleanliness, and there's age of tube. There's so many things that I think people kind of do say, I want an exact recipe. And the exact recipe is really almost impossible just because of all the different variables. So that's why we give starting points, and then we want people to really kind of work their way into this.
Yeah, and then just kind of a housekeeping thing on the lasers. It's really important, everybody, to make sure you clean your lenses, daily, and your mirrors, because as those get dirty, it's gonna, your power, everything is gonna end up being off. If we're running big, Polar Camel orders, it's nothing to even just clean them 2-3 times a day. It's much better to take that quick 2-minute cleaning than to, start, building up, issues and trying to adjust settings when it could just be your lens needs cleaned.
Another question I saw that I thought was interesting, we could maybe hit real quick, is what if you don't have the rotational device? You can still do a Polar Camel just laying it static, right?
Right. Yep. You can. You do have the ability to do them stationary. You're a little limited on your artwork. It can depend on the specific cup that you're doing. As compared to 20 ounce to 30 ounce to the water bottle, you're going to get kind of right within that inch, maybe an inch and a half art space. These water bottles give you a lot of kind of area to be able to laser, and with a lot of them, you can go vertically on here. You'll have this whole area to laser compared to, say, the 20 ounce, that has a little more taper, where you're gonna have to kind of level that out a little bit more, where this is just gonna be a straight kind of level playing ground.
So yeah, I've seen that in shops before too. If they don't have the rotary device, they just kind of think in advance of saying, I want to think about my artwork in a more vertical orientation, right, rather than kind of a round orientation.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, good questions. We're getting lots of them in, that's for sure. I'll do one more housekeeping one. Somebody asked, is there a place that we house all of our videos? And we do. It's called YouTube. Now, I didn't invent it, because if I did, I wouldn't be here working today. But JDS does have a YouTube channel, so I would encourage you to go to the JDS YouTube channel and subscribe to that, and then you'll get alerts when you do new videos, like some of them we've done here. But all of our videos are there. We got videos on all kinds of stuff, on lasering and on sublimation and on marketing, just all kinds of stuff there. So yeah, that is our repository for all of our videos for people to be able to access all that. So, well, that's good questions. Again, we also are going to do some questions at the end of the whole day here as well. So right now we're going to move on to our next slide, and we're going to move into our next area, which is the best settings for laserable leather. And this is definitely something, like I said, we've gotten some questions on this already in the Q&A area. We get this question a lot, so this is going to be a really good section. So we'll watch this video, and then we'll come back together for questions and answers.
Hi guys, Sarah here with JDS, here to talk about our Laserable Leatherette. We currently have 16 colors, with 5 of them that go to what I consider our metallic, the gold and silver. Now these gold and silver run just a little different, with it being a thin layer right beneath the surface compared to the ones that go to black, which your whole core is going to be black. So something we found within our fabrication department, where we can do all of our testing and working with it throughout the past few years, is changing that DPI to 400 and taking an 1/8 inch out of focus is really going to broaden that window of success, where you can hit a lot more nice gold looking instead of burning through. When you're seeing outlines of gold and such, you're burning through and taking that thin layer of gold off. So going deeper isn't going to find any more gold. You want to get just right off the surface. And that 400 DPI is going to be firing less dots per inch, so you're not burning it. So creating one of these test grids is a helpful way to help find that sweet spot for your laser. With every laser being different, we do like to try to get you in the ballpark, but getting a specific for your specific laser is something that can be found by using one of these grids. So here I have, all of these are at 100 speed, while I changed my power at each square. This column being 90 speed, 80 speed, and 70 speed. Now for time-wise, 100 speed is always going to be your fastest. So with it still getting a good color right at the 60 power, you can be running this 100 speed. But you also are still going to have success within all of this area compared to our 600 DPI, where you're burning through most of that gold at all of these speeds and powers, and only getting a little bit of success with the lower power down here. Using these two tricks of dropping your DPI to 400 and taking an 1/8 inch out of focus by either dropping your bed a few clicks or manually focusing onto an 1/8 inch piece of plexi is going to help broaden that window of success and give you better results with your metallics. Any more questions, please feel free to call the number below.
All right, I can almost hear people writing down things and kind of processing everything that just happened there. So that is a lot to unpack. A great video, again, out on our YouTube channel, and we'll send all these out to everyone in the next couple of days that registered for this. But Dana, Sarah, do you have any follow-up questions or anything you want to address straight away?
Yep, so right away I see one about the focus, kind of what I was explaining in there of taking it slightly out of focus, meaning bringing it away from your laser head, dropping that laser bed just a few clicks. You can even focus on, say, an 1/8 inch piece of plexi, so you know you're that exact 1/8 inch manually focusing. And kind of what that does for you is it's going to come out of your laser head. Your laser beam is going to come out as a cone, and so it's going to be spreading out, you know, the farther away it gets. So with it being that 1/8 inch away, you're going to have a wider laser beam, giving you not such a direct hit and burning off that thin layer of kind of that foil layer right beneath the surface. Compared to, say, the ones that go to black, these ones are just that thin layer that can easily be burnt off, where that black is going to be the whole core is going to be black, so you can go whatever thickness. So what I kind of tell people is to find your settings for those metallic ones first and get in that good window of success for your specific laser. And then you can go back to the ones that go black, and you can still get that nice black color and kind of have, it's not necessarily going to be one setting for all of our leatherette. You may have a few different, you know, tweaks to each one just to have it be perfect for each kind of specific color, but they should all kind of be in the same general area.
Starting to see some questions roll in about if we sell the blank material for the leatherette, so you don't have to buy product to do the test grid on. We do sell these in 12 by 24 inch sheets, so you can get all these, you know, that comes right nice and flat to you, so you can, you know, do all your testing, you know, and get it figured out there instead of waiting until you have the product and trying to put test grid on there as well. You know, with that grid that is going to be available, we're going to be having that for us like a download that has it, you know, set up to, you know, ready to go for you, so you can, you know, be able to create your own. And it will, Sarah can probably elaborate a little more than I can. It will be a little bit different probably depending on, you know, manufacturer brand.
It is, so it's considered color mapping. All lasers, I want to say, have kind of that ability. There's different kind of steps to go through it in your properties. But like Dana was saying with those sheets, it's definitely it's more cost effective to, to buy this sheet and then kind of zone in on your settings for your specific laser on this, because then across our whole leatherette product line, it's going to run the same, from a black to gold bottle opener to a black to gold portfolio, and kind of all the same, but having just that flat test piece is really nice to have. And like I said, kind of zone in for your specific laser.
I know I've been in shops that they might have 2 or 3 lasers, and they'll basically fingerprint each one of them, because each one of them, again, can have slightly different characteristics. So they might have slightly different settings for each machine in the same shop.
Right.
Exactly.
Our big question that we get a lot of calls on is, they're seeing the outline of that gold or silver, and they ran all these ones that went to black, everything looked good, but now they're seeing it's going to black and just seeing the outline. And that is your first cue that there's too much power and you need to back off on your power or speed it up. It's best to kind of just adjust one thing at a time. That 400 DPI, like I said, after we've had it here in our shop for this few years, and we're able to kind of test with it, mess with it all day and all that, we've found that 400 DPI, just as shown in the video, just gives that broader window and gives you more, not necessarily room for error, but it's going to just give less room or it's going to give you more room that you can kind of play around with.
Yeah, and there's some questions about how to change that DPI. That should be right in your driver for your laser. When you're putting all your speed, power in, you should go adjust your DPI right in there and then send that off to your laser. There was a couple questions on that.
I know one of the things that can be a little bit challenging too is, in the first couple of videos, we talked about the Polar Camels. And the Polar Camels, you've got that powder coating on there. You're hitting these things pretty hard. You got to get burned down to the stainless steel. You even got to take the LA Awesome afterwards and stuff. When people kind of change gears and they go over to this Laserable Leatherette stuff, this is super high speed, super low power. Like this one we're seeing on the screen that says Springfield Zoo. I can tell you, when you run your finger over that lasered area, you can barely feel that anything has been taken away from that. I mean, it is just such I just tell people, you're just kissing off that top color. So, it is 2 very different products. You can get great results, but it's just kind of funny how they both take such a different touch to them.
Right. And it is kind of along that, it's a softer material just in general. And like you said, when you run your finger across it, you're not going to feel it like you can on a Polar Camel where it's going down to that metal. And with the black, that can be a personal preference. If you want it to go deeper, you can. Or if you're seeing that it's going too deep, or you're getting a lot of that soot or residue that can come from the black, some things that we found is lasering from the bottom up in your machine. So it's not lasering and then it's coming back over what you just lasered. Start from your bottom, have it laser, and your air assist should be on and pulling that residue out. If there is some extra, if it's looking really dirty, the first thing I suggest is speed up your laser. If you're already going pretty fast, then back off on your power, because you really shouldn't have a ton of that soot and residue. If you do, it's not necessarily, a lost piece. It's back to Old Faithful LA Awesome, and you can spray it and wipe it clean with that microfiber rag. Even the metallics, they can be wiped as well. Some of it, like the blue to silver, you can kind of leave that tint of blue. But taking a rag and spraying the LA Awesome on the rag first, and then kind of circular motions on that, can help get rid of that blue and not necessarily look like a glitter bomb went off on your piece, because sometimes that metallic, it can kind of look glittery.
All right. Well, good stuff. Like I say, I knew this was going to be an area we're going to have a lot of questions, and thanks for all the input on that. We're going to go ahead and head into our next video. And our next video is how to get the best results with CerMark. And so CerMark is, as you'll see, the product that you put on a stainless steel item, and then when you laser it, then it leaves the black mark behind. Before we jump in, I did have one question earlier. It said, do you use CerMark on the Polar Camels that have the powder coating and the color on them already? No, you do not. Those you just laser the powder coated color off, and then the stainless steel is removed. Here you're putting on the CerMark, and then you're going to laser into it. So let's watch this video and we'll come back for some questions.
Hi, I'm Theo from JDS Industries, and today I'm going to talk to you about one of our new products, CerMark Ultra. CerMark Ultra can be applied to our stainless steel Polar Camels, ceramics, and glass. In this video, I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on how to get that perfect application. One of the main things to remember is to always store the CerMark on its side. Before applying any of the CerMark, you will want to make sure that your surfaces are clean. The cleaner the surface, the better the application. Also, remember to have eye protection and a mask. Before you apply the CerMark, make sure that the can is very well shaken. Shaking this one for over a minute, so we're ready to go. Don't feel like you have to overcoat the material. A nice light coat is all you're going to need. Make sure you let these air dry. It's going to be the best way to get the best results. The same process goes for the glass. A nice even coat is all you're going to need. If you do happen to overcoat them, you can always wash them off and try again. So now that we're done lasering the product, all we're going to do is just run some water under the cup, and you can see how it rinses off, not 100%, and that's okay because we're going to dry it off. We're not going to need any type of soap, just some water, and that's going to be good for right now. We're going to bring it over here and just wipe it with a towel. You can see how most of it came off. Sometimes you're going to need a second rinse. We're going to run it under the water just one more time to kind of really clean it up. Give it one more wipe. And there you go. Now that you've seen how the CerMark Ultra process works, you can find your laser settings from our website. Or if you have any questions, call us on the number below. Thanks for watching.
All right, great video by Theo there, just in case everyone is thinking Sarah's the only one that works in that department. We still don't, we haven't really seen Dana do too much. He's doing pretty good on these questions, but no, Theo's another one of our experts back there. He's great at doing all this stuff. He's one of the people that actually works on these projects for us. So. Yeah, we get a lot of questions on this. Dana, Sarah, do you have any questions that are jumping out at you right now?
Yeah, so one of the most common questions that we get is after you've engraved your tumbler and you go to wash the CerMark off, all the engraving is wiping off as well. So most of the time that's from overspraying. People think you have to do 2-3 coats of this. Honestly, all you need is a nice light coating. Even if you can see like a speckle or two of the stainless steel showing through, that's actually okay. The heavier you go, the more it's just going to try to wipe off because it's just not getting through that CerMark when the beam hits and making the right reaction. Now, since bringing on the CerMark Ultra, if you're used to using the LM 6000, our original CerMark, when you spray that, that's a little bit thicker coating. So that you need a nice and light. That's where the stainless steel is showing through. Is really important. With the new CerMark Ultra, this actually comes out. It's a black color, not the eggshell white that it used to be. And this stuff comes out, it's a lighter formula, so it really sprays out nice and light. It don't take much to, it gets a lot better coverage.
It's a more powdery feel compared to the heavy kind of wet stuff. Still store on its side, so you're not getting those clogging issues, but it is a lot lighter, and the versatility of it is you can do a lot more than the regular 6000.
Yeah, so with the previous CerMark, the 6000, that was product specific, to which kind of CerMark you needed. If you want to do metals and stainless steel, you had one for metals. You want glass and ceramic, we had a paste and a spray for that as well. Now with this new CerMark Ultra, you can do all of it with one can of spray or one bottle of the paste. As to before, it was product specific. We're still carrying the original CerMark, but this just offers another type of product if you just kind of want that one can to do all, or the paste you can do it all. But like I said, we still are going to be carrying all our originals. So just another option to try. Some people, found it easier with the new Ultra. Some had no problems before, and that's great. That's why we're going to keep that product as well.
It does offer a little better marking on glass. With CerMark being an additive spray, where lasering, you're normally, you're taking away things and making something appear. Where this, you're adding this, then you go to laser it, and you need that heat reaction and to make that bonding so that sticks to whatever material that it is that you're lasering. Where on like the glass, you're still making a mark on it, but it still needs heat, but it doesn't need as much heat as you would say the stainless steel. So it's going to be one product that you're spraying on multiple different things, but you're going to be using different settings kind of throughout your laser. Stainless steel being really high heat and low speed, where glass is going to be kind of your low speed, kind of low power, mid power.
Seeing a lot of questions, roll in about settings. So we do have the settings posted for this, like always with different wattages. Now you are going to have different settings between, using the CerMark Ultra for stainless steel, for glass, and ceramic. It's not going to be one setting that, this product works on all those, but it's not going to be the same exact setting that works on all of them. So there is, 3 different settings for those. Once again, those are really good starting points. And especially with CerMark, we found that it's got a narrower window for, settings. So you will want to, do some test pieces, to really get narrowed down to what works best on your laser. But you will have different settings for glass, ceramic, and metal.
Say, Dana, I know in the past we've talked about when we've been at trade shows and stuff, people using the CerMark, even the older product, on a stainless steel, and using one of the older products on the glass and the ceramic things. And the glass and ceramic had such a narrow window of success on it. Do you find that the new Ultra product is making glass and ceramics a little easier to do? Is the window widened a little bit with that new product?
Absolutely, much better. It's night and day, honestly, compared to the original CerMark we had for glass and ceramic. This stuff, before it left like a really almost like fractured look as well on the glass. With this, you get a little bit less fracturing. It's a nice, deep, darker black on the glass as well, and it's not washing off and wiping off like before as well. So this is something that, really, if you were kind of struggling before, and it was kind of pushing you away from the glass and ceramic, this is, a really good product to try to, get back into that.
Just offering another look on your glass, where you're getting some of that frosted look. This is going to give you that nice black contrast with it and really make it pop.
I was just looking around my office because I know I had a sample of it before. I was going to show it, but the sample is no longer here. But yeah, I thought so too. It really looks nice. It's a nice effect on glass if people are looking for a way to kind of dress up a glass item or give a different look this season to a glass item. So
yeah. One more question here I want to hit on is the difference between the paste and the spray. So the spray is going to come in an aerosol can. Everything's already pre-mixed, ready to go. So basically, you just got to shake that can up good for a minute or two. Spray it onto whatever you want to engrave, and you're good to go. With the paste, it's a little bit different. You'll have to dilute it with denatured alcohol, mix it up, and then you'll want to apply it either with like a foam brush or, some have like they'll have like a paint spray almost, and they'll spray it on. But it just kind of a difference in, you want something that's already mixed, ready to roll, or do you want something, that you might have to, do a little bit diluting too. It kind of depends, if you're doing bottles, I recommend always spraying. If you're doing, something on a small area that might only be, 1 by 2 inch coverage, some people might want to, not, waste any by overspraying and, go to that paste method, and that way you can just brush on the area they need. So it's kind of a preference. Both work well. Like I said, it's mostly preference.
I know I have talked to a number of customers that are really larger users of the CerMark products. It seems like the larger users go more towards the concentrate, and they mix it up just because they're going through so much of it.
So much, yeah.
Where, they might go through 2 or 3 cans in a day. For them, doing a concentrate is just a little more economical way to do it. Is that what you found?
Yeah, like I said, yeah, you get, because sometimes with the spray, you can be wasting some with overspray. So, it depends on how large of a run you're doing, but, if you're not doing you're not getting a lot of volume requests for this, it is really handy just to go with the aerosol spray, it's just a little bit quicker. But like I said, if you want to go more economically, yeah, the paste is going to save you more in the long run.
Yeah, very good. Well, CerMark is certainly a great product. We've been carrying it for a long time. This new Ultra is a great addition to our line, that's for sure. And so appreciate all the information on that. Again, we'll get those questions out. I know there was some specs on the video there. We'll be sending everyone that video so you can get those specs written down. So now we're going to move into our fifth and final topic, tips for lasering glass and crystal items. And we don't have a video, but Sarah and Dana just have a couple of tips they're going to share with us now.
Yeah, so it's always really important to remember when you're lasering glass and crystal, you're going to get a fracture look, not a frost look. So when you're sand carving, you get that nice frost look. Lasering is going to give you, a fractured look. So what I tell people, it's always really important. You want to make sure you clean your piece, get nice and clean beforehand, because after you engrave it, you don't want to go back and wipe over anything, because the more you wipe over it, that fracture is just going to keep fracturing and eventually distort your possibly ruin your image or distort it. So in-house here, we'll use even rubber gloves when handling any glass and any crystal and glass products after engraving. That way everything's nice and clean. We don't take any chance to ruin anything by going over the fractured look. There is, Sarah can explain here a little bit with the DPI how to try to minimize some of that fracturing.
Yep. So some kind of tricks to get your laser to kind of look a little bit more like sand carving. You're not going to get that full sand carved look, but if you're something to get a little closer to it would be one, to drop your DPI to that 300, 400, just that lower DPI, so you're firing less dots per inch. Again, that's not going to be such a direct hit to your piece of glass, where essentially it's little heat explosions of that glass. And with the lower DPI and firing less, it's going to be a more broad thing and give you that more frosted look. I have had some customers, they change their artwork to, that 80% black, so your laser isn't firing as hot as well either. You don't want to just blast through glass and crystal, because again, it's literally fracturing the glass, so that's the look that it's going to get. Another thing that we find helps, you may have heard of like the wet paper towels, or putting soap and water on it, and that's kind of a tactic to lessen the heat going onto your glass for less fracturing. And then a product that we sell would be this laser orange, which again is going to be similar to our green laser tape. It's not necessarily a necessity when lasering. You can put all of our crystals and glass pieces in your laser and laser them just raw crystal or glass, but putting something like this on can help with that and give that more frosted look and kind of help reduce some of that fracturing. This orange blaze stuff is much easier to apply. You just apply it to the area that you're lasering. It doesn't have to be around your whole piece, just wherever it is that you're lasering. And you're going to squeegee it on, and then there's a transfer sheet on it that you're going to peel off, and you're just going to run it kind of at your normal glass and crystal settings that you run just raw crystal at. But again, the transfer sheet on it is going to be a lot easier to remove. It is one extra step, but it's going to give that little better finish.
Yeah, and one other nice tool that it's used for as well is if you don't have you have a sandblast unit and a laser, some people use this as to make like their stencil. So the laser, through this, and then they'll go and actually sandblast it to give it that nice frost look. So it can be used, honestly, for that as well. You can use it just to laser, get a little bit less fractured look. But if you have a sand blast cabinet, you can actually use this to make your stencil with a laser, and then actually sand carve it to give that nice frost look. And it's really handy when it comes to paint filling, because you can sandblast through this, paint fill it, and then just peel it off, and it's ready to go. So it has some multiple uses.
I see one here when I said that 80% gray of your artwork. So mostly when lasering, basically anything, you want that 100% black and white image. So you're getting the nice, crisp, clean lines, where say if you're working in Corel and you have that 100% black along your color bar there, it's going to be like the 2 squares down is going to be that 80%. So it wouldn't be something as crisp and clear as 100% black, but with it going on glass anyway, and it's fracturing, and it's, not looking for that super crispness, it's going to give that softer look onto that glass.
And you guys might have heard of our normal glass laser tape as well. Like Sarah mentioned before, was green. That does work as well. So I mean, it's just another thing we've offered this other product. So that does help reduce that fracturing as well. This is just a little more versatile. You know, it works with sandblasting. You know, a lot better.
And I was going to tell everybody, you know, we have our fall specials that is out right now, and on the back cover we have all the information on that product. So that's a good place to find it. If you don't have one of these, you can see this online at the JDS Order Entry website, or you can just give us a call and we can send you a copy of it or send you a digital of it, whatever people need. All right, very good. Anything else on glass and crystal, Dana, Sarah?
I think at the moment we're good here, but we'll keep watching for some questions to roll in.
Yeah, sounds good. So we're going to go in and we're going to do some other questions. So now what we want to do is we just kind of want to take some random questions and some things that have come up over the course of today and answer a few more questions. I know one of them I saw several times where people were asking for some help on if you're going to do like the Polar Camel Water Bottle and you want to do a two-sided. Can you give people some instruction on how you do that so everything lines up right and looks really nice?
Great. That here at JDS, we use center engraving.
And I'm just going to ask you, can you, because I saw another question, what is center engraving?
Right. Yep. That is something where you're going to reset your home position on your laser to the center of your cup on where you want it vertically and horizontally. So you're going to set that on your laser, and then in your properties menu, you're going to print your selected, have your logo selected or whatever it is that you're putting on your cup. And in your property menu, there should be a center little checkbox or something along those lines. Ours is by our autofocus checkbox. I know all property menus can look a little different. But having it set on your laser first and then sending from your computer, with center engraving checked, your laser is going to read, okay, I'm taking this image, and it's the red dot on your laser is going to be the center of, say you have a 3x3 circle, it's going to be right in the center. So you're going to get 1.5 inches to the left of that red dot, 1.5 inches to the right, up and bottom. It can kind of, like I said, depend on your laser specifically. We have the few brands here that, I'm familiar with, but I've talked with a lot of other customers, kind of have my own notes of, hey, how does your property menu look? And where is this at, just for my knowledge.
Yeah, and then, some more questions here, hit these general ones. There are some people that were struggling with the leatherette where, it's not just a flat, hard substrate, such as like a wine bag. What you can actually do to jig that up is take like a piece of acrylic or plastic and basically, put that in that wine bag. That way it stretches it out, nice and wide and flat. That way you get that nice even engraving. So it's not, getting wavy and stuff like that. So some of this you can jig them up a little bit, not just, put them in there and try to expect them to lay flat, in your laser bed as well.
So you're cutting like a piece of acrylic and then you're sticking it into the wine bag with flat wine bag.
Right. You want it to lay kind of really nice, flat and taut. A lot of our jigs that we've built here is just from scrap pieces. Unfortunately, it's not something that we sell directly from here. We do have some templates and different stuff, say for like the can koozies, we have that specific width, which is like a very odd specific width for it to be nice and tight and flat. All those kind of things. And if you want to do multiple up, those kind of things, we do have some templates that, you're welcome to call in and I can send you a file, for a specific item.
All right.
And I kind of want to reiterate here a little bit with this orange blaze because there's a little bit of confusion in here. So we sell a product right now that's called laser tape. And then we also brought on this orange blaze. So those products are going to be best for when you want to basically make a stencil with your laser and then move over to your sandblast cabinet, to sandblast. Then we also have a product that's just glass laser tape. That's what's going to work really well for, getting that less fractured look. So there's 3 different tapes, and a couple of them do the same thing, and then the other one is for less fracture. So trying to make it confusing, laser tape and orange blaze is going to be best for making stencils in your laser to put in your sandblast cabinet. the glass laser tape, which is green, works the best for reducing the fracturing. So just to kind of try to clear that up a little bit.
So with the green, you'd put it on your product, you'd laser it, and then you'd be done with the product.
Exactly.
With the orange, you can put it on, laser it, and then finish it in a sand carve cabinet. And then
exactly. Yep.
And you said the orange also, you could hit it on the laser, and then you could paint fill using that as well.
Yep, correct. So that kind of goes into which side to engrave on, which I've seen some questions. Anytime you're paint filling, you want to front engrave. And usually the normal for engraving crystal and glass is to engrave on the back side, so you reverse engrave. It just gives a little bit better look going through that glass, and then with the bevels being at the back, you just get the nice bevel reflection, and then you get you look through that glass to your engraving. But if you're going to paint fill, you want to engrave on the front. That way, that that paint is on the front and showing out to your audience, and not trying to look color through the glass.
Very good. Yeah, lots of good info. Well, we're just closing in on our 1 o'clock time frame. We're going to try to get done here about 1. We have one more final poll question we wanted to throw up for everybody real quick. During this year's gift giving season, do you expect to sell more gift items than last year, about the same amount, or fewer items than last year? And our hope is, having just spent the last hour together, you're feeling very confident about these products and really feel like you can embellish these and make some great products for your customers and get some really good sales going this year. I know it's been, for a lot of our customers, it's been a little more challenging year, and we're really hoping that the gift season brings lots of good stuff for everybody. So let's take a look at the results and see how everyone did on that one. There we go. Oh, good. Everyone thinking about doing a little bit more. That's definitely an area of growth for our customer base. And so, yeah, we appreciate your input on that. One of the other things I wanted to mention is in our big catalog, or big 2020 components catalog, inside here on page 9 and 10, there's a lot of information about our fab department and fab services and stuff. So wanted to bring that to your attention. You can either see it if you got the catalog. If you don't, you can see the catalog online at the website as well. But we hope everybody found at least a couple of things that they can use in their shop. I know if you're like me, you probably got more things than you even know what to do with. But again, we're going to be sending everything out. The videos come out. The questions are all going to come out. We've had lots of questions. We've had almost a little over 350 questions. So your questions have been awesome. They're still coming in. So do keep bringing us those questions. We are looking forward to answering every one of those. And I think with that, I think we're going to be wrapping it up. I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Oh, that's the other thing. I always forget something. Even in practice, I forgot this. We have specials. And when we do trade shows, we always do trade show specials. And since we're not doing trade shows, we want to do a webinar special. You can see the code in the upper corner there. But I wanted to just hit this real quick. The top 3 items, any item, any quantity at end column price. This is a huge opportunity. A lot of people say, geez, I love all the Polar Camel items. You've got all these multiple lines and all these colors, but I just want one orange of this and one green of that and one pink of this one. This is the time to do that, because it's any item in the whole catalog, not just the things we talked about, any item in our whole catalog at any quantity, you're going to get the end column price. So this is the time to get onesie, twosies, because you're going to get end column pricing on all that. That's a huge savings. And also think about the other products. Do you have an odd color of duets that you get? Do you have other things that you just buy it on onesies, twosies, and it's always frustrating because you never buy it in a case. Now's the time to do that. This special runs through the 25th, which is next Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. JDS is closed Thursday, Friday. So it's for the first 3 days next week. And you can use this multiple times. Since you came to this webinar and you registered, if you place an order this week and then next week on Monday or Tuesday, you place another order, you can tell them this is a webinar special order. You've got your code. You can use it multiple times. Down below that, if somebody wants to do a little larger order, a $1,000, $2,000, or $5,000 order, you get a 3%, 4%, or 5% discount. So if you want to kind of bring some stuff together and do some bigger orders, we can get you nice big discounts on that stuff. And then last, we've got a discount on our sign tools. We have a lot of different tools for people in the sign business, but certainly people that are in the gift business and any of these things, the trophy business, you use knives and all this kind of stuff. So you can really look to us for straight edges and all that kind of stuff. So wanted to really hit that webinar special and let you know about that. Again, thanks everybody for your time. Sorry we went a little bit over. Tons of good questions. Thank you everybody for being here. I wish everybody a very happy gift giving season, a very happy Thanksgiving. Thank you. Thanks.
Everybody.
Thank you guys.